Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This one's obviously for the Jeep people, the Jeeple if you will, or car enthusiasts, whatever you want, or people looking to buy a Jeep. So what I wanted to talk about is the reliability of Jeeps, and more or less, well, more my experience with Jeeps. Now, I've had Jeeps for 21 years. I've had experience with other people's Jeeps for probably 25, almost 30 years now. My father had a Grand Cherokee in the 90s. He had a few of them. My sister had I want to say a 95 or a 97 TJ. And of course, my first Jeep was a 2000 Jeep Wrangler Sport TJ, which I absolutely loved. Still my favorite Jeep vehicle of all time. My favorite vehicle of all time. Although this Gladiator's moving up the charts pretty quick. So I had my TJ, and it had no issues really, other than what you would expect from a Jeep. It was loud, had rolled down windows, I had AC. That was my one thing that I splurged on. Similar to the kid there, what's his name, on TFL, where he just got his first Jeep, and he got a two-door like I did. My first one was a two-door, because they didn't have the four-door until later on. I love that thing. The 4.0 liter engine was great. It was the last Jeep, if you will, that you could get, because after that it turned into, well, a little more luxurious, I guess you could say, as far as Jeep standards go. But that one, you felt like it was a Jeep. I had such fond memories with it, sleeping in it, driving all over the place, driving on the beach, all that stuff. And then 2007 came, the JK came out, and I got on my list, like, for Jeeps, I was like, all right, well, I had the Wrangler, the regular entry-level Jeep, a little bit above. It was a Sport. Wasn't the bare bones Jeep at the time. So I jumped up, I said, well, I'd love to get a Sahara because it's more street-friendly, it's more creature comfort kind of friendly of a Jeep, and it kind of fits living in Rhode Island and driving around here. We don't have a lot of off-road options, so to speak. And so I got the Sahara. That was on my list. The Sahara was something I wanted. It was a great thing. It was the four-door JK, the first Unlimited that they came out with. I had one of the first around in the area, and I got it, and I loved that thing. It was great. It was amazing to see the improvements from the TJ to that. It was quieter. The ride was smoother. Of course, it was a Sahara, so it was street tires, but my other one had street tires too. Regardless, as far as issues go, never anything crazy with the JK. I can't recall the TJ or the JK having anything major other than my brakes really being an issue. There was never anything crazy. Now, my father, with his Grand Cherokee in the late 90s, maybe early 2000s, he had a transmission issue that happened, and that was on his Grand Cherokee, and that was a big thing. I remember that. So that was the biggest issue for a while, and of course, my sister never had any issues, as far as I remember, with her TJ. Might have been a few minor things, but nothing crazy. After that, and of course my stepmom, she's had Jeeps as well, and she had a Liberty. I think the Liberty had a bit of an issue. This is when they first came out in 2000, 2001. She had a few issues, but nothing crazy, nothing too dramatic, nothing that really you'd have to throw a lot of money at, if I should say. And then, of course, I had my daughter, and in 2012, I decided, all right, I'll get a Grand Cherokee. My father had one. It was another Jeep that was kind of on my list. Vehicles that you kind of want as you get older and you're able to afford these things. The Grand Cherokee was one of them. My father had it. I'm like, well, I'm a family man kind of now. Why not get the Grand Cherokee? So I got a Grand Cherokee Laredo. Nothing too crazy. Pretty comfortable for the most part. The seats weren't bad, but over time, my back didn't like them. And we had that in my seats. The driver's seat had the air cushion thing that would fill up to help your back, give you that lumbar support. It was all right at times, but over time, it wasn't that comfortable. Not like the Gladiator. Gladiator is like, it feels like a Cadillac, to be honest. Well, not that it's really a Cadillac. I mean, a Cadillac's probably more comfortable than this, but in Jeep terms, this is about as the pinnacle of it. Of course, the Grand Wagoneer is like the ultimate, really. I don't know if I really would want that, but in any case, so I got the Grand Cherokee, and within 2 years, I missed having a Wrangler. But I was like, well, the Laredo serves its purpose. It's good around here. It's good on gas. I like it. It's reliable, dependable. It's pretty darn good. I enjoyed it. I liked having it. There was a lot of room in the back. You'd throw things. It was a good all-around vehicle. Now, I had it for 8 years. I think it was 8 years or whatever it was. And just recently, this past winter, I noticed the heat wasn't blowing out. So immediately I thought, oh, this is going to be a heater core issue, which is a pain in the ass. I remember in auto, when I took shop class in high school, we had to change a heater core. You ripped the dashboard out, all these nightmares. And I was a little worried. And of course, I was worried about the door. I think it's called the door jamb something that's in the console, like where you turn the heat on. That broke too. Probably 4 years before the heat. So I thought it was either that, the heater core. Those were my two things that I was suspicious about. So going into it, I'm like, oh boy, this isn't good. So I didn't think it was the problem that it turned out to be. So for about a month, I was driving it, and I should not have been driving it at all. When I tell you what the problem was. So I'm driving all around. You had to play with the dials with the heat. 1 minute you could turn it on, you had the air blowing enough to just get the frost off the windshield, but you know, you had to play a certain way or I was going to overheat. I remember there was times I was sweating going to work. My commute's about 20 minutes, 23 miles, 20 minutes, 15 on a good day in the morning when I get there. And the mornings weren't bad because there wasn't a lot of traffic, and I leave before a lot of people are on the road. So the morning wasn't really an issue. It was the afternoon coming home with the traffic where I would get nervous. Thankfully, the dealer I go to, or the shop that I go to, is on the way, and I could have stretched it there and then just drove it in the parking lot and say, fix this, if it came to it. So, roundabout way. So I did this for like most of the winter. So this happened probably, I think, in February. And I took it in around the end of March, I believe. And I might even mentioned it on the channel. Well, it turns out it was my radiator. There must have been a hole or something, and there was no fluid in it at all. No coolant fluid at all. There were other problems with it as well, and I said to myself, how the hell was I driving as long as I did without overheating, without blowing the engine, whatever? There's no way I should have been doing what I was doing. And this actually played a factor in my decision on getting the Gladiator over the Bronco. Well, there's several reasons, but this is one of them, because it comes down to this in the end. To make a long video short here, is the reliability and dependability. And with Jeeps, I always get home. At the end of the day, no matter what, the Jeep always gets me home. And that is the main reason. I should have been in any other car, I think. I don't know, I'm not a mechanic. Maybe there's a mechanic out there and say, no, Mike, what you did was crazy, but another type of car would have made it too. And maybe that's so, because a lot of cars, they can be put through a lot these days, but it got me home. And at the end of the day, when I was getting the Gladiator, and now I'm just over 3,000 miles, 3,078, and hopefully I'm not cursing myself, but everything's running great, no issues at all. I know there's some people that have had leaks in the back with the hard top by the window. Of course, Rob Motive talks about the start-stop situation that he had with his, and I just remembered to shut mine off. And we got a Jeep coming. Will they wave? We'll find out. Let's see. It's a JK tan. I don't know if they waved. It was hard to tell. But in any case, so the Jeep, sorry if I hit my microphone. The Jeep always gets me home. I always feel safe in a Jeep. To me, they're reliable. After 21 years of me driving them personally and being around them for at least 25 years, maybe longer, a little longer, I think they're pretty damn reliable. Now, do they have issues and flaws? Yes. What vehicle doesn't? Well, maybe a Toyota doesn't. You know, and maybe a Hyundai or Honda. They're pretty, you know, you could beat on them till the end of time. But the Jeep just gets me to where I need to go, gets me home every time, no matter what. And that's why, one of the reasons why I chose it. So if you're thinking about getting a Gladiator or a JL, at least these vehicles, and even a Grand Cherokee. My father has the Grand Cherokee, and my stepmom has the Grand Cherokee. Not the Laredo or the, you know, the fancy one, just the Cherokee, I think, the littler one. And of course, I recommend those. Now, as far as the Liberty, the Compass, the Renegade, yeah, I don't know. The Renegade, though, I know there's one of our Discord people, or one of our people over at the network, Michaela, her and her husband travel around with a Renegade, and they love it. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. So again, at least for the JL and the JK and the, you know, the TJ and the JT, I think they're dependable. They have their quirks, and every now and then there's going to be a bad one where everything goes wrong. And at some point in my life, I'm sure I'm going to run into that, sadly. But knock on wood, plastic, or whatever you want to call it, I've had nothing but good luck. I enjoy my Jeep, and I can't recommend them enough. Now, they're unique in the sense that you have to be a unique person to have a Jeep. It's kind of an interesting thing. You can't just... Some people are just not meant to be a Jeep. You know, they think it's a good idea. They love the idea. I want the Jeep, take the top, the doors off, all this thing. And they're going to love it. And then they get it, and then it's not what they thought it was going to be. You have to be almost a special person to have a Jeep, if you ask me. But that's just my opinion. As far as the Gladiator goes, nothing but aces. I am a little concerned. I got, like, a couple weeks ago when I started seeing people post about the leak in the back here, right over here. If I can point on the camera, like right over here, where the window is, like right down there, it's been leaking. I got a little concerned myself because we've had nothing but rain in Rhode Island in the Northeast for all of July, and even now it's raining. It looks like it's going to rain now. So I was a little concerned. And you know, I've had these videos on my TikTok, and I think I can put a link for my TikTok down below. I post some stuff, and I posted about the best top, soft top. Did it leak? And it did not leak. I'm thankful it didn't leak. And I know I tightened the screws up because I was driving and I noticed it was a little bit of a rattle. And I was like, well, I know Jeeps rattle and, you know, soft tops rattle and flap and all that stuff. But I realized, you know, I didn't tighten down enough. And I think that's because I was concerned I would strip the plastic nuts and stuff. So I tightened that up. That's all sealed up. No problem there. We've had torrential rain, no leaks there. The window itself hasn't leaked, which I'm very happy about. I was concerned about that, but it has not leaked, thankfully. So what concerns me with all these Gladiators, the Bronco coming out, and various other new vehicles is the fact that it's not so much that I don't trust the manufacturers or anything like that. It's just because we're in the times of COVID. I feel like things are either rushed or just not done right, or whatever the reason is. Things aren't the normal standard operating procedures, so to speak. What the hell do we got going on here? I don't know what's going on here. People are all over the road. Interesting. Some like hippie van just pulled over there. But anyway, that was odd. Back to the story. So my concern was like COVID. When I was buying this, I was like, well, COVID could have the gremlins in these things, and that's where I was getting concerned. But thankfully, nothing has happened. I feel completely safe with this vehicle. Again, I went to Connecticut a few weeks ago. It was a joy. It was a blast. No issues at all. Safe, reliable, very comfortable, as I said in my last video there with the Jeep. It was just fun, and fun to drive. It was excellent to drive. And nothing was leaking because it rained on my way there, too. And everything was fine. So, again, I recommend a Jeep if you're into this sort of vehicle, adventuring, traveling, just enjoying taking the top down and enjoying life and all that stuff. So, anyway, that's going to end it for this video. I just wanted to let everyone know, because I know Jeeps have this perception or reputation of being unreliable, and some of that's warranted, but I think for the most part, I don't think they're unreliable, and that's just coming from my experience. Your mileage may vary. I know there's people out there that have had nightmares. I'm not, oblivious to that. I know that happens, but man, my voice is getting scratchy. I don't think I can keep talking like this. I need to get like a drink. I should have brought a drink, but anyway, I know Rob Motive was talking about the reliability with the Gladiator and things, and his little trouble with the start-stop battery and all that stuff, which I was concerned myself when he was talking about it, and I got this as well. But thankfully, no issues with that, no leak issues, nothing crazy as of yet, and that's with 3,000 miles. I was expecting something around now to kind of pop up and kind of say, ha, just because of the times of COVID, I figured there would be something, and thankfully I'm happy to report, and thankfully my luck usually is not that good, that there is nothing going on. So I'm very happy, very pleased. But I don't know, if you got a Gladiator, have you had any issues, let me know about it. I'm curious if any other Gladiator owners have had anything other than the leaking or the start-stop thing. If it's any other issues that you've had. I know people have talked about the steering, and I gotta say the steering, I mean, there's a little bit of play, as you can see, but it's not that bad. I mean, to be honest, it's very responsive. So I don't know if they correct. I know they corrected they changed it from aluminum to steel, I think it is, so we don't have that play that we had. So Jeep has corrected that. No issues at all. It seems fine to me. Now on the highway, it gets a little, sway, but I contributed to being a Lego driving in the highway, in the crosswinds and everything else. It's basically a Lego on four wheels driving in the wind. So you're going to get that. And you throw on that bed, that extra 5 feet there, it's going to catch in the wind, so to speak. So I attribute it to that, but for the most part, it's not that bad. I don't have any steering issues. I don't have any death wobble yet. I'm curious if anyone has any death wobble out there. But anyway, I'm going to end this right now. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know. Give me some feedback if you've had troubles with your Jeep or any vehicle or whatever. Let me know. So I'll catch you guys in the next one.